Good afternoon. In this particular demonstration, it's purely and utterly really for the recorder or the club's recorder, so that you have a fair idea how to use the system and process results and create events. So first off, we'll go into how to create an event. An event, as you well know, is made up of multiple sessions. So this is using my system, not the actual club's actual server. So what you would do is you go into Event Session Management. It's going to run a bit slow to start off with. Okay, and what we're going to do is you can see all the events are listed down here. Now, you can actually go in and edit an existing event as such. You can actually close an event. Now, be very careful. Over here you can delete or you can open an event. So I've just closed it, so the icon is for an open. It's now gone to a trash. So if I click it again, it's going to delete the event. Okay, just be careful on this particular column. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an event. So add event, put in the event name, try and follow the naming convention. So let's create a club event for, let's just say the 7th, sorry, the 8th month and 7th of August. Now you can put some information in there. That's just a description of anything you might want to do. So the next thing you need to do is put in the event date that which it will be run at. So this is going to be on that particular Saturday. Now the next thing you need to think about is the registration date. Now the registration date is usually the Sunday before. So if we look at the 7th, the Sunday before was the 1st. So you would put the Sunday before. Now the way events work is that they need to be published. So that first, the minute they go online, it will be published, but you won't be able, archers cannot register for it. So you pick the time. You pick the time by going into this little device and you can click 9:30, done. And there you go. That is the time at which the registration will switch from being published to being open for registration. So I'm now going to create the event. Now each event can have multiple sessions. So for instance, we have a morning session and an afternoon session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a target session. Again, one can enter the name, so we're going to call it a club 07-08-2021. And if you want to put some information there, again you can. Again, you pick the session date, which is there. Start time. Well, you might want to make it, I don't know, you could make it 9 a.m. in the morning. It's a morning session. Now, automatically all bows are selected, as you can see. But what you would have to do is select the type of sessions that you might want to be running here. So I'm only going to pick, we're going to pick, let's pick something, Darwin, Drake, and Melbourne. Submit. So now we have a morning session. So I'm now going to add an afternoon session. So let's just call it, okay, so this needs to, let's call it session, club session. So 07-08-2021, I'll call it afternoon. So we're going to pick the session date, which is the 7th. Start time, 12:30 p.m. It's an afternoon session. and all those, and we're going to be pretty much after the same. Help and say submit. So now we actually have 2 sessions. That one should have been club. Never mind, we'll just leave it the way it is. Okay, over here you have some little tools. You can edit the session. Okay, so we'll call this, I'm going to change that to club. Session updated. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, there are other tools. I can actually delete a session. I can see what archers are actually registered for this session. Of course, at the moment, there's no one registered for this session. I can register an archer. Now, this probably is not the role of a recorder, more of an administrator. At the moment, we have a system whereby there is a limit set as to how many archers can register for a particular session. Now, sometimes when that limit has been exceeded or needs to be exceeded, the administrator at his or her leisure or discretion can actually add people in for that session. This particular icon over here will I can disable a session, as you can see, or I can toggle it to enable it. This is useful if you have something like ahead, you've created 2 sessions, but suddenly you're going to have a working bee and you want to disable a session so it can't be registered for. Well, that's pretty much everything you need to know about event session management. There are things like reports, where you can get a report on who's actually registered for what. So let's try and pick something that might give a result. Oh, I'm the only one that's registered for that session. So you can actually find people who registered for each individual session. You can also remove them if they have the ability to remove themselves, but if they don't, and they send you an email saying, can you remove me because I don't know how to do it. I mean, there's a YouTube thing that tells them all how to do these things, but you can do it for them. Okay, let's move on to something a little bit more difficult. Now, there's a thing here where you can set the initial settings. Now, this is all running slow on my computer, but it will be a lot faster, believe me, on the club's computer. So in this particular screen, which I need to move over here a bit, I can actually look at an archer's rating. So let's just look at, type in the first 2 characters, always type in the first 2 characters, select David Tucker. Okay, so on a compound, on a target, what's his current rating? Now, the reason it says 102 is because I've been mucking around to do some further work, which I'll demonstrate to you when it comes to results management. Okay, and I will delete this one and it will take me back. But anyway, this shows you what the current rating is. Now, I can set it to something other by typing in, say, another number and hitting submit. That will force, for the compound bow, for David Tucker, to have a different rating. This is useful when we do the 6-month appraisal of whether someone needs to have their rating reduced or not due to non-involvement or sparse involvement with the club's activities. Now, there's another thing here. If you want to look at someone's results, you can go back, that individual, say go back to there, and you will actually get their results thrown up on the screen, so you can actually look back and have a look at some of their okay, so you can see what my rating was for that bow type. And because this is a test system, there's hardly anything in it. So very often, if you need to go back and look at what someone's rating was from a certain date to reset it, you can do it this way. Okay, let's move on to something a little bit more complicated, and this is result management. Now, you can see here from results, it'll throw up on the screen and you can pick no results. Remember, this is my test system. Find something with some results in it. Oh, there we go. So what would actually happen here is you would click on it and there'll be the results that everyone has achieved for that particular day. Now, what can we do with this? Well, we can actually download to a spreadsheet results into a CSV file format, PDF. You can get gold pins for that person. Now, this particular one here takes us into adding a score sheet through a template system. So supposing someone didn't know how, or hadn't, or had a failure with their electronic equipment, and they'd done a paper result sheet. Using this system, you could actually enter in for that particular person the results. So let's have a look. So what I would do is I would pick a result, say the Launceston, find the archer, David Tucker. Let's pick somebody else, David Lempart, and do a score sheet on him. That would bring up a score sheet for the Launceston for that particular fellow, and you can see you would then go in and you would add the individual scores for them from the actual paper. Now, when you finish, you do a sum and then you submit. Over here, which unfortunately is a bit on the corner, you fill out their profile, gender, what type of classification, and bow type. Okay, let's just go back to the results. So let's go into our results again. Now this time we're going to actually look at modifying a result. So let us pick the same one again. Over here, now the red little dot there means I got 2 perfect scores. Anything under the golden dot means I got gold end. You can see what's going on here. This shows you the 2 ends. The star shows you the size of the target. A plus is 122 centimeters, and the asterisk is the 80 centimeters. Okay, so if I click on that particular little pencil icon, it then gives me my score sheet. Now I could actually change this and simply correct any scoring errors that I needed to do, hit the sum button and submit. I could also, from this point of view, change the classification or the bow type. Now, this particular interface was developed in the beginning for offline scoring. Now, that means if I go in to make a change here, I would have to go back and look at their ratings from the previous screen I showed you, and you would go back and reset. Because you're going to reload their score sheet, you need their current rating to be reset to their previous rating. This particular one does not do it automatically. All right. Now this is for offline scoring. It can be used also for online scoring, but I have a toolkit that specially has been developed for online scoring. I'll take you there now. So this is called manual scoring. Again, my machine's running tad slow. Okay, so on target 1, I'm going to select the one where I had a ridiculously high rating of 102, and I'm going to show you what I need to change. Okay, now I can list all the archers that were on this screen. Again, it's going to be a tad slow. And there we go. Now, this is what also appears on the online scoring on people's phones. So, technically speaking, there's no reason for anyone to make a mistake. For instance, you can see the name, so you can make sure there's no name confusion. You can click on it, you can see their profile, recurve, master, and their gender. So I'm going to close that. Okay. Now, I could also use this to do a data entry for someone who gave me a paper copy and didn't have an electronic copy. I could also, if someone hadn't actually submitted their actual score sheet or done a partial score sheet and they actually, electronic score sheet, but they had the rest in paper, you could go in here on their target, their session, you could find their name, and you could simply fill out the details, their rounds, bow type, blah blah blah, and you could enter the archer or if they were already there, you could proceed to scoring. I'm going to proceed to scoring. And at this point, I can delete any one of these particular archers. Now, when I delete them, it deletes any scoring associated with them, or I can go directly into scoring. Now, you can see here, in this case, I've actually completed my entire score and I have submitted it. Now, let's supposing there was a mistake, and there is a mistake because I've got a really ridiculously high rating. Now, for David Tucker, you can see my name there. I click on that icon. Now, it's come back and said the archer is David Tucker, the round was Launceston, and the bow was a compound. Now, this is super important because in the rating system, all ratings are calculated against your bow type and stored. So everyone who shoots multiple bows could have different ratings for their bow type. And it's been locked because the score results have already been processed. Now, I can unlock this, or the recorder can unlock this. So I've unlocked it. Now, it says here, result has been removed from the result system, but it can be edited and reloaded. The current rating has been wound back to the last one for the bow type. So it has done an automatic re-establishment of the previous rating for that bow type. So icons up here, change the round. So if the round was actually wrong, I can change the round. So I could change it to, if I've made a mistake on the round, then I hit change round. Or I could change the bow type. And this is what I can do for changing the bow type. Okay. Now remember, this was submitted and I have released it. So if I go back, you will see now I can resubmit the score. Now, just to show you something, if I go back to event sessions, and if I go back to the ratings and look for DA, David Tucker, compound, for a target, get me the current rating. It's gone back to where it should be from my previous score, previous Saturday score. Okay, so that proves that it does wind it back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to manual scoring. I'm going to go back to the relevant session. I'm going to proceed to scoring, score, and if I want to now, any other error, for instance, something like I can select a previous distance and I can make a change. Well, maybe that was too high. Okay, hang on, sorry, maybe that was too high. That was too high. Maybe that was not the best. Maybe that was a pretty crappy. I will leave it the way it is. So if I do a save, done, and if I go back, I can now resubmit the score. Now, to prove that it's all worked, if I go back to look at my rating, so go back, DA, David Tucker, compound, target, you can see it's no longer 102, it's now 92. Okay, so I am able to fix up my online scoring. This is predominantly for online scoring, by the only for online scoring, by the way. So I can change my bow type, I can change my round, I can change my score, or change an archer's score. Okay, what else have we got for the recorder? Scoring log, scoring score tables. Okay, score tables. This enables me to remove a particular score. So let's have a look a minute. So let's look at, okay, let's pick. So this is for single archers. Now, what the story here is, I can delete from, let's just explain how the online system works. All your results go into, as you're progressively storing, go into a holding system. When you've actually finished your particular shoot for the morning or a session shoot, you submit your entire score. Everything is taken out of the holding system and put into the results system. Now, if you want to, you can delete my entire scores from the holding system. Or if I had forgotten to actually submit it, you could submit it from here by just hitting that particular button. Okay. If I wanted to, I could delete all the archers for that particular session from the holding system. It does not. I don't think it removes it from the result system. What else we got here? there is a thing called match play. Okay, let's just go into match play. Match play allows us to create a series of results for match play. So what you would do is you could go through, I'm not sure if I can actually have enough people here to do this, but what would happen is you would get a list of all people ordered from the highest score down to the lowest score, and that would enable you, and you can also remove them if they don't want to participate in the particular match play, and that would leave you with an ordered list descending from the highest score, and you would pair them up manually from then onwards. Okay, I think that's enough for the recorder at this present time. So